So fundamental to being able to play the guitar is understanding two basic concepts. One is the relationships between the notes in the Western scale, and two, understanding the relationships between the adjacent strings on the guitar. When you understand those two and put them together, you've laid a solid foundation for understanding how note playing is structured on a guitar. So let's take the note C, for example, and go up the C major scale. You can easily visualize the relationships between the notes by just playing the entire scale on one string. So let's start with the C major, the C note. You go up a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Okay? So you've played the entire C major scale, and you can see the relationships between the notes in terms of whole steps and half steps. So now let's talk about the relationship between the adjacent strings on a guitar. The open note on each string, in general, is related to the string above it by 5 half steps. In other words, if I play this note on the 5th string, you can play that same note on the string above it when you play it on the 5th fret, or 5 half steps above. Okay, and that same relationship exists between the 4th string and the 5th string. So, and the 3rd string and the 4th string. The only exception is that between the 2nd string and the 3rd string, they are only 4 half steps apart. So, and then 4th fret. And then back to between the 1st and the 2nd string, it's 5 half steps apart. Now, when I talk about half steps, every half step is just 1 fret on the guitar. So a whole step is 2 frets and a half step is 1 fret. So I probably should have clarified that from the very beginning. So putting these two ideas together, we can easily deduce that the note here can also be played here, right? If on the 5th fret you can play the open string here, and that same note can be played on the 5th fret above it, then it just follows that you can play the 7th note here, also here, on the string below it. So going up the C major scale, we don't necessarily need to go, we can go. So if you just follow that notion, understanding the relationships between the notes and the relationships between the strings, we can play that entire major scale right within this box. And we can go down. So, depending on how much guitar playing you know, what I just demonstrated may seem just really kindergarten obvious. But I think for somebody who's starting out, who may not even understand music theory at all, that just wants to learn to play the guitar, I think understanding that relationship between the notes and the relationship between adjacent strings is key when they start learning tutorials or lessons in knowing what notes to play in what box, because a lot of them are kind of shown, play these notes in this box, but doesn't really explain why. So hopefully the two things that I showed, talking about the relationships between the notes and the strings, will kind of lay that groundwork for understanding why. All right, thanks for watching.